So I've been teaching this class for maybe close to 10 years now, and I've learned a lot, and I always change it, I always mix it up, and never two classes are the same. But what I started to see over time is a lot of similarities or themes that aren't necessarily highlighted in the readings that we will review this semester, but they're always there. Almost every class has something to do with these 6 overarching themes. It started out with a bunch and I whittled them down. So this is not in your text, what I'm about to tell you. This is Professor Raffety. This is not Crafton Furlong or John Kingdon. But I think it's something that I have found is helpful, and hopefully you will find helpful as you think about public policy every day, coming into this class, going out into the world. 6 overarching themes to keep them just in the back of your head and see where they come into play throughout the whole semester, and then hopefully beyond that for the rest of your life. These are Professor Raffety's overarching themes. I need to get a better title. The first one is scarcity. And I notice this because we live in a world of limited resources. Interestingly, in the world of public policy, we have limited resources and unlimited demands, right? Unlimited demands, limited resources, that's naturally going to cause tension and conflict. Scarcity drives a lot of what occurs in the world of public policy, because it inherently involves trade-offs. When you can't have everything, you have to make decisions about how to allocate resources, and it has to involve trade-offs. The next time, I know it's great political rhetoric, it's a win-win, it's a win-win-win, it's a triple win. No, there's usually some win, some loss. There's give and take in the policy process. The second one that I thought was important, and you'll see a lot of over the course of the semester, is diversity. Not just of the things that we think about when the word diversity is mentioned. I think the natural instinct is, so gender, race, sexual orientation, this type of diversity, because we have a very pluralistic society. Yeah, that's part of it. It's an important part of it. But also, what I want to emphasize here is the diversity of ideas and opinions. Has anyone here ever taken a chemistry class or remember that from high school? Gosh, you guys, what are they teaching you nowadays? Who wants to tell me what this symbol means? Change. So you took chemistry.
Oh, sorry, I thought
Oh, it's okay. You did raise your hand. Everyone's very timid. I understand. It's the first real class. We're all nervous. Change. It's a delta. A delta symbol. I like it. I don't want to write the word change. I'm going to put that symbol delta up there. That means change. And what are we talking about when we're talking about change? We mean that basically the world is dynamic. The world is always changing. There's a philosopher, an ancient philosopher. Do you know who this is? I can't remember. I should Google it.
Heraclitus.
Someone said the only thing that's constant is change. Who was that?
Heraclitus.
Heraclitus. Was he like in 300 movie or something? I don't know. I get this. I'm mixed up on all that stuff. But yeah, that's good. You know, as an ancient philosopher saying the only thing that's constant in this life is change. Couldn't be more correct. And that's absolutely true in public policy. Change is constant. And that has great effects on the policies that we enact and implement and how they're modified over time. I work for kind of an economic policy center for my day job upstairs, 2 floors from here. So I had to inject a little bit of economics to this. But it's important because I think it's very, very replete throughout public policy, this notion of costs and benefits. question we need to ask ourselves with respect to public policy is, all policies have associated costs and benefits, social costs or financial costs, economic costs, and also corresponding benefits. And the question we have to think about is, who is bearing the costs, who's reaping the benefits? Another one of mine is sort of a favorite. Unintended consequences. And we see this all the time in public policy. Well-intended policymakers seeking to solve a problem, and in the process, unintentionally making matters worse because the policies aren't very well constructed or they're not really very well designed. Now, I had a very hardcore professor when I was in MPA program, and I don't know how I feel about this, but I'll tell you, it merits telling. My professor said, Rob, there's no such thing as unintended consequences. Only policymakers who didn't think hard enough about what they were doing in advance. There's stupidity. Now, I think that's harsh. I think that's not fair. I think there are a lot of well-intended efforts to solve problems that don't necessarily work. And I don't think most people, sometimes you can't foresee the way people react to your policies and that you're not going to always get the results you want. But nevertheless, there are people out there who would take my professor's opinion. You got to think very carefully. You got to get it right the first time. If you don't, you're part of the problem. And then finally, a big theme that we'll see all semester long is this issue of crisis in policymaking. The thing I want to emphasize here is a crisis can be real or it can be perceived. I can't spell perceived. I don't know if it's P-R-E or P-E-R. The point is, it's imaginary. But nevertheless, crisis can drive the policy process, can dramatically influence the policy process. I actually have been doing these 6 overarching themes for several years now. And then the former chief of staff to President Obama catched it up in one phrase. Rahm Emanuel, former congressman, former chief of staff, now the mayor of Chicago. I don't have the exact quote, something to the effect of, we never want to let a crisis go unused. Does anyone know the quote? Something like that. We never want to let a good crisis go to waste. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Which is, obviously a sort of tongue-in-cheek, but very real also. Because crisis, real or perceived, can drive public policy. We'll see that time and time and time again this semester. So what I do every class, I'll write these 6 principles up here in the corner. Nothing like as big as this. I'll just put them up here. Again, the idea being that they're always on our mind. They're always there, haunting us, infecting our brain.